Uh, Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Turkey. Welcome to Istanbul. My name is Pelin Kihtir. I'm working in UNDP, Istanbul Regional Hub, who is covering the regional bureau for Europe and CIS, like Central Asia, Western Balkans, and including Turkey and Caucasus. I would like to present you how UNDP is working with civil society. UNDP is working across more than 150 countries in partnership with governments, intergovernmental organizations, international organizations, other UN agencies, local and international NGOs and civil society. And there are different modalities how UNDP is engaging NGOs into UNDP work and how they become partners. Okay. Is this working? Yeah. Okay. Then Rosemary is with us. She's going to present the UNDP Health Program, and then we will have a question and answer session if you have. So there, as I said, there are a couple of ways, there are a couple of models how UNDP is working with NGOs and civil society. One of them is becoming an implementing partner. The other one is becoming a responsible party as an NGO. The other one is becoming a grantee, and the last one is becoming a vendor. I will describe you a little bit in detail, what they mean. The implementing partner in UNDP terms, if an NGO is becoming, or a civil society organization is becoming an implementing partner, it means that the organization is fully responsible for the implementation of the project using the resources. And this includes all implementation of all programmatic activities, monitoring and evaluation, and all interventions to achieve the project outputs. So the eligible NGOs are those that are legally registered in the countries where they will be operating and identified based on very thorough assessment of their legal, technical, financial, management, and administrative capacities. And it's subject to UNDP assessment, what we call as a HACT assessment. But in order to do this, UNDP is working in the countries in mapping the NGOs in specific working areas, in thematic areas. And if there's an intervention that an NGO can be responsible, can be an implementing partner, they do reach out, or you can reach out to country offices. But this is the most involved part of implementing a modality. The second one is becoming a responsible party. An NGO can be a responsible party for any UNDP project and will be responsible for specific activities or specific purchasing or delivering some results. And they can be selected on the basis of a competitive procurement process, or they can be identified during the project formulation stage within UNDP, but of course in consultation with the NGO, and their all activities and including the budget information are presented in the annual work plans of the project, and they're approved by the appraisal committees of the projects or the project boards. So for a specific activity, for a specific deliverable, an NGO can act as a responsible party for the project. Again, the mapping of NGOs and the civil society organization is vital for the program staff in the country offices in UNDP so the collaboration is a key. The third modality is becoming a grantee. This is the most widely used modality for the NGOs in UNDP for working together. So this grantee agreement, what we call is micro-capital grants. And these grants are announced publicly in all countries, in all UNDP websites. So you can check, you know, when you're back in your country, you can check UNDP websites for this call for proposals, for calls for intentions, and etc. To deliver again a specific activity. This is a bit different from the responsible party because this is so the whole, like all of the deliverables, all of the payments, the tranches are, you know, strictly identified in the beginning of the grant agreement stage. So the responsibilities of each party, either UNDP or the NGO, the activities to be undertaken, the outputs to be produced, the performance criteria for the release of the installments, and the duration of activities and reporting arrangements. These are always identified for, during the calls, so you know what you're applying for. And at the end, when you sign the micro-capital grant agreement, you already know, what you're going to receive for which activity and to deliver what. These are all non-credit purposes. So it's a purely programmatic activity, and these MCGAs, what we call micro-capital grant agreements, are signed. So there are, different decisions undertaken. So either to strengthening the institutional capacity of the NGO, or supporting a community-based self-initiative, or promoting an advocacy activity and networking between civil society organizations and governments and donors. There's just one criteria on this. Like an individual grant agreement cannot exceed 150,000 US dollars. And under a specific program, a country program, an NGO cannot have a grant more than 300,000. So this is just one of the limitations. The fourth modality is becoming a vendor. So this is purely a procurement process, but NGOs are eligible to apply. It's sometimes the calls for tenders are only open for NGOs, sometimes to all private sector and NGOs. So this way of engagement is appropriate for engaging NGOs when they are expected to provide specific project inputs or to purchase of goods and etc. The procurement rules of UNDP are, again, all public. It's always the best value for money. It's not always the cheapest option or the highest option, but it's always calculated, in terms of the capacity of the organization and the value that is proposed and the price proposal. So yeah, as I said, by definition, for substantive development activities and outputs are which are non-commercial, competition can be limited to only NGOs. So what we call this call for proposal, which includes a letter of invitation, the evaluation criteria in detail, the terms of reference, which describes the deliverables and the time frame, and the agreement itself. So this is again public information. You can reach out to the call for proposals. The second pillar of working with NGOs is actually the partnerships. So this is, let's call it at a higher level maybe, when UNDP is becoming a partner with NGOs. So they they develop the projects together, they can develop the projects together, they can mobilize resources together. And in this way, they can be partners. So, and there are two ways. If the organization, if an NGO is providing funds to UNDP, there's a cost-sharing fund arrangements which specifies into which teams the NGO is providing funds to UNDP. And another option is signing a memorandum of understanding between UNDP and the organization and NGO for specific interventions. So as I said, like developing a project idea, looking for, you know, possible resources, donors globally. So this is the second pillar of the working together arrangement. Thank you. So this is very in brief, but you can always reach us in terms of if you have any questions. We will have at the end a question and answer session. And it's, as I said, it's all public. Like everything that I said is publicly available information in UNDP websites. Thank you.